Today I want to talk about overwhelm. I've talked about it in the past. A trauma response is to feel overwhelmed and essentially to shut down as a survival mechanism, to just only care about surviving the day. Many of us in recovery, especially early on, find that we can't get anything done. And that's even good in early recovery. If you can just sit on the couch all day and stay sober, that's a successful day. And really, every day sober and rest of your life is you can measure success by that. As low a bar as my know-it-all non-alcoholic friend Matt thinks. But it's true. Of course you want to strive higher. Anyway, it's very similar with ADHD. I've determined I am in a constant state of overwhelm. And I thought about the idea of compound overwhelm, because when you do get overwhelmed, your brain shuts down. Already with ADHD, our prefrontal cortex essentially refuses to do any real work unless on rare occasion where we get into that flow state. And then when we get overwhelmed, it makes it even worse. And again, we're back in that essentially trauma response of just wanting to survive the day. That's all we care about. It's so similar again to alcoholism, where when we get a craving, especially when we haven't started doing the work and we're still actively drinking, all we care about is our surviving. It's a survival mechanism. That prefrontal cortex shuts down. We're left at the mercy of the midbrain, and we treat it like we're 5 days in the desert, and we don't care if we lose everything. We're going to take that drink. Well, it's the same thing here. We don't care what we have to do for work. Unless it's absolutely urgent, in which case it will give us a dopamine rush to get it done, and we can complete it. But otherwise, if it's not, we're not going to get it done. And, this update is really about the fact that I was hoping, today is Tuesday, October 21st. I was hoping to launch my recovery community yesterday. And I finally woke up on Sunday with more determination to work than I ever have. Didn't have to wait to get into any kind of flow state. I got right into it because I knew I was under the gun. I had so much to do if I was going to launch it. And I did get a lot done, but not enough. And to the point I opted to postpone, at least for a day, if not two. Unfortunately, that did take off some of the urgency. I still got up Monday, was very productive up until I had a 2:00 call with my ADD community. And then after that, the call was great, but then I'd eat a late lunch, go for a walk. Before I knew it, actually, I determined my environment was still not ideal for what's going to be I'm going to be captive to my home environment. So I spent the night actually working on that, and I've made great progress. But today, I've remained in a state of overwhelm. And, the way to overcome that, and I know this, is breaking up all you have to do into small, manageable tasks. And if possible, postponing to not put too much pressure. It's interesting. We work well under pressure with deadlines, but too much can have the opposite effect. At least it does for me. I need to research that further. So I'm very fortunate that I have the luxury to postpone launching the community. Although, believe me, it's been 14 months since I left my pizza shop. I need to launch this thing. And by the way, I am launching my podcast, Sober Cappy. And that's a little easier to launch because I've already recorded a dozen episodes, but I didn't want to launch it until I knew I was going to consistently be recording as well as podcasts and these YouTube shorts. So I am launching that. I'm still a little overwhelmed by that thought as well, because I do need to then get all my social media around the podcast going as well. Intro videos, posts, etc. So I've got a lot on my plate, but I'm reminding myself to just break down the tasks, to write them out, not just put them in my calendar. Although I have worked on that part of the ADD system I'm in, is making it more effective to use my calendar, but still having that written down on paper in front of me is so important as well. And again, breaking up. My community, the coach's advice is to make that first part of the task laughably easy. His example is if he's if he's procrastinating on planning a trip, just pull up the airline website. And then from there, he'll typically go ahead and book the trip. And that's great advice. Like everything else, baby steps. So reminding those out there as much as myself. This is technically ADD day 13 for the record. I don't know if I'm going to keep that up, but it's since I basically reset my count. And, on Sunday I was so productive right away. I thought I was virtually cured. I mean, I knew I truly wasn't, but I really started to wonder if I'd ever struggle again in my life. And then there I was yesterday afternoon, completely struggling. So, and today has been a bit of a struggle as well. And actually what I did today is I had been neglecting my personal stuff, my cardio, my laundry, even going to the gym. I hadn't gone in a week and a half. I usually go every other day. So that's another reason. And I just said, I can't launch this community until I can live a life where I'm eating proper meals and getting proper exercise. So today I ran to the gym. I was more expeditious there as ever. I went for a fairly quick run in the sun, and then I did my cold bath, shivering. Killed my entire morning, but it was what I had to do. Now I just need to be able to get early to bed, early to rise, and get that stuff done super early so I can get on with my day. So stay tuned for more updates, and hopefully by the time you're watching this, Happy Hour, the podcast, will be available at all outlets near you, including YouTube, I believe, and my community will be out as well. And that is going to be called, there'll be links to it, but it'll be called LEPT, which is an acronym for Learn, Experiment, Perform, Thrive, which are all things I did in recovery, and now I'm taking it to real life. More on that later. Stronger Sober. Please like, share, subscribe. Thanks.